Am I the asshole for asking my wife permission to go to a very close friend's wedding overseas, 8 hours away?
I don't know how you'd be a shit cunt for asking permission. I feel like unless your wife's like heavily pregnant at the time or like extremely ill or injured. If you're going to a friend's wedding, hey, I feel like I wouldn't even ask. I'd be like, hey, there's a wedding going on. Are we going or am I going?
If it helps, this is tagged also with not enough info.
Fair.
I have a very close friend that will have his wedding next year. He invited me as one of the groomsmen, and of course my whole family, wife and 2 kids, 7 years and 4 years old. Due to financial and circumstances, we cannot, as a family, attend. So I then asked if I can go by myself instead and spend max 4 or 5 days overseas to celebrate with them. Please note that this friend and 4 other closest brothers that I truly love and trust with all my heart will also be there. Please also note that we had an all-boys trip 3 years back as part of a bucket list, and wife approved it. But this time she got really upset. She said, how could I even think of leaving my whole family over a wedding, and that I'm putting the guilt on her, and that I should have realised by myself that it was a no from the get-go. Lastly, she said that I should be a father and be done with my bachelorhood. I'm a single earner, but am able to afford more than enough for them. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't womanize. I just work and go home, and the only real friends I have are those boys overseas. Now we're not talking for 2 days, and I don't know if I'm the asshole for even asking.
No, you're not. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with this.
Again, it's because we haven't been given enough info. So you give your initial opinion while I feed through some comments to see whether or not I can find whether or not OP has provided us with more context.
Okay. I don't know why the prior vacation is relevant. I didn't know if it was... Initially, I was like, oh, he's going...
No, maybe it's this is the last time I did a boys' trip type situation.
I thought initially it was going to be hey, we went a couple of weeks ago for a box weekend overseas, and it's like, validly, if you've done another trip really recently with them, fair cop. So she has more of an issue that you're going than anything else. It's like, hey, I can understand that you can't afford to go with the whole family. I can also understand that, hey, you probably don't need to spend the full 5 days there. Like, a wedding, if you're in part of the bridal party, realistically, you need to be there for the rehearsal dinner the night before. This is just going off what I know from, like, American-style full weddings, because our wedding was not the stereotypical thing, and we're all local for the most part. Like, I think my cousins coming from Tamworth was about the furthest anyone came from anything.
Lacey came from Melbourne.
That's fair. My sister came up from Melbourne, my cousins came from Tamworth.
It took the cousins longer to drive from Tamworth than it did Lacey to fly from Melbourne.
And that's including the drive to and from both of those airports. If you're going with that like full suite wedding, that's rehearsal dinner the night before, which you're part of the bridal party, you're expected to be there for, day of the wedding, and a lot of weddings have like a morning after brunch or breakfast thing. You can fly out that afternoon. Realistically, you fly in on wedding eve, you fly out on wedding Boxing Day.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how far 8 hours of flying can change like time zones and whether or not jet lag or anything would be a thing. But again, like there's too much unknown context here. Like, okay, if you are the only earner in your family, then what does you taking this 5-day trip mean for your household finances? Is your wife getting the shits because fiscally it's not possible for you to go, let alone the entire family, which you've said is not a possibility here. And then there's okay, you've got a 7-year-old to 4-year-old, you work full time, she's a stay-at-home mother. How much effort are you putting in at home? Is she seeing it as oh, you go to work, you live your own life, now you're getting a fucking solo holiday, while once again, I'm the one doing the 24/7 shift every fucking day while you're off essentially living a life completely unbothered? Is that a thing? Because you're saying that she's angry that you even asked while providing no context as to why she's angry you've asked.
Yeah. On the flip side, I would hope, I don't know this, but I would hope that if you're the sole provider for your family of 4, you're in a job that has some form of leave that you're taking for this trip. So that would take away some of the fiscal responsibility required, at the very least, because he won't be losing out on any extra income that he would have made while he was away.
Yeah, but that doesn't remove the outlay of costs.
I know, but it does reduce the outlay of costs, because if he was also taking time off of work for this and not being paid for that time off, he's ending up twice as much in the red. If you were just a guest going to this wedding, you'd 100% be the asshole. Being part of a bridal party, it's a higher level thing. Like, realistically, if it was such a hard thing to be able to get you out there, not even just your entire family, just if you going is going to be so much of a financial burden, I'd hope you'd talk to your mate. Talk to your mates in general and be like, hey, I'm having a rough go of being able to afford this. I want to be able to be up there with you, but don't know if we're going to be able to swing it price wise. Any chance you can help me out? And understandable, groom might not be able to help out with that because he's got a fucking wedding to pay for. You've got other mates that I'm assuming are the other groomsmen. They might be able to help out with it.
From what he described, like all of the other groomsmen are within the same country as the bride and groom. So if you're the only one that's having to fly in from 8 hours away, then if you were in sort of financial straits, I know that if, Lacey wasn't in a financial position to come up for our wedding, we would have made a point of paying for her to come up.
It'd be one thing if this was just randomly sprung on you. Weddings are not sprung, especially for the people that are in the bridal party. Weddings are planned months, if not years in advance. If you are in a situation where you've known about this for years and you still haven't managed to, well, maybe not years, a year, and you still haven't managed to get the money together to be able to do a flight and your accommodation for it, and a suit, because you got to have a new suit for the wedding, that is on you. Because, hell, that's like $1,000.
Depends on where you're going or where you are.
It's $1,000, maybe 3. If you're in a position where you can't, for a year, you can't put away $1,000 to be able to do all of this, which, mind you, that is just for the one, not for the 4, you shouldn't be going to the wedding without some kind of assistance from your friends.
Oh, commenters. I read through his history, MVP behavior. It seems like this is actually, at heart, a conflict about how they prioritize spending. Even just rough maths from his salary and the costs, he can very easily afford it, and they could afford to bring the kids. They have no sitter through family in their situation, and traveling with kids is stressful. I get it. But it sounds like she's controlling the decision here for her own reasons, and unless he's just a very unreliable narrator, which I don't see clues of, but always a possibility. I think you need to stop having a discussion about your friend's trip and start a discussion about how spending is prioritized for you two and who actually gets to prioritize it. That may reveal that she's less concerned about the money and she actually just doesn't want to go on the trip. If so, we have no clues as to why she might feel like that. So you'll need to try and understand why and what she needs. Good luck. Follow up. I thought perhaps she'd want her own trip and he can watch the kids for 4 to 5 days. She also deserves some time away from family with her own peeps if she so chooses, or alone if that's her thing. Solo parenting kids 7 and under isn't a vacation. It's because they're going to Japan as a family 2 months after the wedding. So 2 international trips in 60 days for the entire family would make money tight, as they would prefer to spend the additional money on their actual vacation.
So in this case, it is we want to have that money rather than you having that money. So I would say he's not the asshole. She kind of sucks though.
This does seem like an everyone sucks here type of situation. They haven't had those foundational conversations around how finances, or their feelings around finances and their values around money and whatnot, before going into the marriage. And that is a fundamental foundational flaw in a relationship if you're not having that conversation prior to getting married. If you're going to be taking a trip for your entire family overseas 2 months after a time that you're wanting an additional trip, then going like, yeah, I want to go take a full 4 or 5 days for this wedding, does seem a bit like, sir, are you high? But also her response in the, like, how dare you even ask, rather than coming at her from, okay, given what finances we have, that doesn't seem reasonable. Let's talk about what is. That seems a bit much. They just seem to be like, he seems to be far too clueless to be an active participant in the relationship when it comes to this kind of things. And it seems like the stress of that is really bugging the shit out of her, and they're not communicating about it.
I would also say, as far as the financial issues go, it'd come down to which one was planned first. If they've known about this wedding for longer than they've been planning the trip to Japan, that's a shitty planning situation on you guys. If, however, this wedding has come up during their planning or when they've been trying to save the money for it, then a lot more of it is it's a lot harder to justify that extra expense.
Yeah, but I still feel like that would all come down to fundamental issues with their communication. Because more than likely, the reason why they haven't sorted that is because they take their annual family trip every year. So they're both acting under the assumption that that trip is happening. And so even though there are conversations about the wedding and the entire family was invited, in the wife's mind, it's like, well, obviously we're not going to be able to do both. So we're not going to the wedding. Him being the working partner that probably doesn't actively involve himself in these kind of planning situations, he's now only just now brought it up. Like, okay, well, are you cool if I go even though it can't be all of us? That's why it's only coming up last minute. He's only like, if I'm going, I better get shit sorted because it is only on him to plan it if he's the only one planning on going rather than the entire family.
Yeah.
But she's been pretty much working under the assumption this entire time that none of them were going.
To be fair, this is all assumption.
Yeah.
Also, to just assume that your husband, who is meant to be a groomsman in this wedding, is just not going to go to this wedding without discussing that with him, also really shit. This is like if somebody told me, hey, you can't be Matt's groomsman because we've got a holiday coming up. That's not even a fundamental issue with finances. That's a fundamental issue in general.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the core of all of that is communication. Well, obviously, we need to have a discussion as to how we're now going to rework this trip to facilitate your access to being a groomsman. But the fact that they don't appear to be talking about anything, right to the point where his post is flagged as not enough information and he hasn't been able to provide any further context around all of these things. So how often do you talk to your wife? Because you're spot on about the plan an annual trip every year. This wedding is within 2 months of your family trip. How the fuck has that happened without there being a conversation about it?
Realistically, bounce the trip. So if you knew the wedding was coming up, what you do is you organize a place that you're going that's either somewhere around there or somewhere where it's going to be easier for you to fly from there to that place than it would have been from your original starting place. If, for example, they're talking about going to Japan, if where you were going to was Hawaii, which technically not overseas, because I'm always assuming that the people on Reddit are American. Hey, weddings in Hawaii? That's so much closer to Japan. You just change the dates for your trip.
More than likely, if it's an annual trip, they plan it for like the kids' school holidays.
I get that, but also like, fuck it. Your kids are going to be ecstatic to spend the first 2 weeks of their holidays in Japan, and then also being able to then come home and have some downtime before they get to go back to school.
But that may mean that it's literally like in school time.
I'm aware.
That would just be adding far more
Yes.
drama to the stay-at-home parents' plate when it comes to the logistics of that.
Okay. If they're easiest situation is if they're British, because an overseas trip, everywhere's close. Like there are so many close that are around there, which would make sense if all of his mates lived overseas and he met them all at uni. I don't know if that was a context given. Usually, if you've got a group of good enough mates that you're all ending up as groomsmen at their wedding, you've either met them in school or you've met them at uni. That's how it generally goes anyway. As always, take it with a grain of salt. That would make a lot more sense if they were uni students that met each other in England or in another country around that area, because that way your overseas is literally across the fucking
Pond.
I was thinking the Thames, but I'm pretty sure that's just a river in Britain. France.
It's the English Channel.
Yeah. Across the English Channel. France is there. Sweden, something like that. All these countries are right around you. It could literally be but also they said it was an 8 hour
8
flight.
hours, yeah. Which does sound like US to the UK.
No, that's much more than 8 hours.
Depends on which way you go.
No, it doesn't. It's still more than 8 hours.
I don't know, across the Atlantic from like the upper edge of your Canada, New York, flying across the Atlantic to the UK.
I can look it up. I can almost guarantee that's still more than an 8 hour flight.
Okay, might as well, because I'm not sure what further speculating on where or why is relevant. Because at the end of it, I would judge this as an everyone sucks here, and your marriage is going to fall apart if you don't start having conversations with each other.
Again, unfortunately, we have no context for this.
Yeah.
Also,
But
7 hours.
Too long didn't read. Talk to your fucking wife, man.
2 of these sessions in a row where one of the stories has had the ending point of talk to your fucking wife.